head that you want to be a gym babe, you just don't know what to do.
Well, I'm here to show you the ropes, and today we're starting off with quads, so buckle up because I'm going to be teaching you the exercises you need to grow your legs. Before we even get into the juicy workout, I'm going to need you guys to take stretching and mobility before your workout seriously, okay? And I'm not talking about yoga stretches. You need to be doing dynamic stretching, which is basically stretching with movement, and mobility exercises to help increase your range of motion during your exercise, which is literally going to help you get more gains. It doesn't need to be long, it doesn't need to be complicated, just a few simple exercises. I honestly probably spend about 5 minutes, 10 minutes max warming up with mobility and stretches before I get started. So here's a few examples when you're training legs of mobility exercises that you can do before you get into your main workout. And remember, when it comes to building muscle, it's not just lifting as heavy as you can. You need to be making sure that you're prioritizing rest and recovery. You need to make sure that you're prioritizing your nutrition. You need to make sure that you're prioritizing your form. So all of these things are going to contribute to you overall getting the most gains as possible. So if you've been working out for a while and you're not seeing progress, it might be because you're not prioritizing rest and recovery. It might be because you're focusing too much on increasing your weight over your form. And just for full transparency as well, before I get into this mobility exercises, I usually do 5 minutes on a cardio machine as a warm-up. So that might be an incline speed walk on the treadmill, it might be the Stairmaster, it could be a rowing machine. I've been enjoying using the bike recently, but I always do 5 minutes as a cardio warm-up before actually going into my mobility. Now let's get into the exercises.
First thing first.
I went about 5 years never using pre-workout, and now, not gonna lie, this one right here, any lower body day, I have a pre-workout. Maybe it's just a 25 plus thing. But anyway, we're going to be starting off with squats because that is the mother of all leg exercises. When it comes to your foot placement, you want to have your feet slightly wider than shoulder width apart and your toes pointing out to the side a little bit. The best way to kind of figure out this position is by doing the steps that I'm showing here in this video. And as a beginner, it's so important to focus on your form with every single exercise before you even start doing it with weight. And when you start to increase your weights, it's important to make sure that your form is still correct. You don't want to sacrifice your form just to lift heavier. Now, when it comes to squats, I want you to imagine that you're sitting on a toilet when it comes to your form. Imagine that someone has something tied to the top of your bum and they're pulling you back, right? So you're going to kind of move back with your hips and then go into the bend. And then we want to turn this into one full fluid movement. You also want to make sure that your knees stay in line with your toes. So wherever your toes are facing, your knees should be facing as well. A common mistake that happens when people start doing squats is their knees start to cave in. Now, this is called knee valgus. If you want a more in-depth video on how to stop this from happening, let me know in the comments below. And also, guys, please let me know if you are actually liking this video. It's a different type of video today, but I want to make content that is actually useful to you girlies, so please let me know in the comments. And if you're new here, please don't forget to subscribe. Another thing to watch out for when you're doing squats is your heels coming off the floor. You want to make sure that you're actually pushing through the heels to get back up. So your heels never want to be off the floor when you're doing squats. Something to note as a beginner is that the bar alone weighs 20 kilograms. So any extra weight that you put on the bar, you need to make sure that you're including the weight of the bar as well. Also, as a beginner, make sure that you're actually using the squat rack. I am not, so I don't have any safety bars down, but when you're a beginner, it's really important to make sure you have the safety bars because it is literally your safety blanket. So if you get to the bottom and you can't get back up, all you need to do is push that bar off of your back and it's going to fall onto the safety bars. When you're weightlifting, it's really important to know how to fail. If you don't know how to fail, you could really end up injuring yourself. One thing I'm also going to touch up on is your depth, okay? You want to make sure that you're getting to 90 degrees. Anything outside of that, it's not by force, okay? Especially if you have poor mobility, you might find it difficult to go deeper in your squat. But this is something that comes with time, experience, and you working on your mobility. So as long as you're getting to 90 degrees, don't worry about getting deeper. Next, we're moving on to lunges, and I'm showing you 3 different variations of lunges: beginner, intermediate, and advanced. When trying to grow your legs in the gym, it's important to make sure that you include at least one unilateral exercise in your workout. Starting off with split squats, this is the easiest variation of lunges because it requires less balance and coordination for you to do the exercise. One thing that you want to focus on when you're starting off in the gym is making sure that you're engaging your core during all your exercises. Once you feel confident doing this exercise body weight, you can start adding some weight, and you can also increase the intensity of this exercise by doing pulses. And then once you start to feel like, okay, I got this, you can move on to the next variation, which is doing reverse lunges. They require a little bit more balance, which is why it's important you know how to engage your core throughout the exercise. So like I said earlier in the video, if you're new to the gym, always try the exercises body weight first and then start to progress with weight once you feel confident. To break this exercise down, all you want to do is step back first, then bend at the knees and step back in again. And then once you start to get more confident, you just turn that into one fluid movement. You'll probably find that it's easier to do on one leg than the other. This is pretty normal. Most people have muscle imbalances, and this is something that you can start to improve on once you progress in the gym. Now, the hardest variation of all these lunges next is the Bulgarian split squat. And let me tell you, I have been going to the gym for a very long time and I still hate this exercise. But the key to actually making gains and progress in the gym is not just doing the exercises that you like. Usually the exercises that you hate are the exercises that are going to give you the most progress. Now, of course, this exercise is going to require a lot more balance than the first two. Now, a good way to find your foot placement for this exercise is to sit on the bench, stretch your leg out in front of you, stand up, keeping the leg in the same place, and then put your other foot on the bench. When targeting the quads specifically with this exercise, you want to make sure that your knee is getting to a 90-degree angle as you're bending down. I know sometimes exercises can be hard and you just want to rush through and get it out the way, but take your time when you're doing your exercises. This is really going to make sure that you are engaging the muscles and incorporating mind and muscle connection. The next leg day exercise I'm going to teach you ladies about is the leg press machine. Now, this machine does look a little scary, so if it's your first time using it, try it without any weight first just to get used to the machine itself. First thing I want to show you is how to change the height of the machine. If you're taller, you're going to want to have it on the higher setting. If you're a shorter girly, you're going to want to have it on the lower setting, as you can see. All you want to do is push up and twist the safety bar to the side to change the setting, and once you finish your set, twist it back in to hold it in place. Now, having your feet shoulder width apart in the middle of the press is going to focus mainly on the quads. Now, if you keep your feet at the same height but just move the feet out to the side a little bit more, you're going to be working on the inner thighs. This isn't to say you won't feel it in your quads, but you're going to feel it a little bit more in the inner thighs. Now, if you take your foot placement a little bit higher on the leg press machine, you're going to be feeling it more in your glutes. A really important tip when you're using the leg press is to not lock out your knees when you extend the legs. This is really important because you can cause yourself some serious injury by hyperextending the leg. So as you extend out, make sure you keep the knees soft to avoid this. I have a love-hate relationship with the leg press, but honestly, it is a great exercise for growing the leg muscles. Oh, also, if you have a narrow stance on the leg press, this is going to be focusing on your quads, but also it's going to be working at the outer thighs a little bit more. Personally, I just use the standard foot placement, but it's always good to know the different variations. And the last exercise I'm going to be showing you ladies today is the leg extension machine. And first, we're going to be getting into how to actually adjust the machine to your size so you can make sure that you're doing the exercise properly. Number one, you want to make sure that the seat is in the right place. You don't want it to be too far back or too far forward. So I'm going to show you what it looks like when it's too far back, and you'll see that my knees do not come to the end of the chair, right? I can't even bend my knees when it's this far back. So you want to make sure that the chair is forward or back enough to where your knees literally come to the end of the seat so you get a perfect bend. Now, moving on to the pad that is by your foot, you want to make sure that it sits just on top of the tongue of your trainers. For me, this is on medium, and for the most part, it will be the same settings on any leg extension machine. Lastly, the pad that sits on top of your thighs, you want to make sure that this is pressed in, okay? Because this is literally going to keep you on the chair and make sure that you are engaging those quads. Of course, make sure that you are engaging your core. You can hold the handlebars at the bottom. As you can see here, I'm sitting up at the chair because the chair has a slight tilt, but you can also sit back in the chair as well. I usually do this on my later sets when I'm literally fighting for my life. And again, don't rush your exercise. You want to make sure that when you extend the leg out, you're holding for a second, really squeezing the quads before you bring the legs back in. And then to get yourself out of there, you just lift up the pad that is on top of your thighs, slide the legs out to the side, and crawl to your next exercise. As you're starting off in the gym, try to get into the routine of stretching after your workouts. I know it can seem long after you've literally just murdered your legs, but I promise you, like I said in the beginning of the video, prioritizing rest and recovery is only going to help maximize your gains. This is my literal go-to post leg day stretch that I have been doing for years, and it's my go-to because it actually stretches all of the lower body muscles. So I actually do this sequence on my glute days as well as my leg days. And just like your mobility at the beginning of your workout, it doesn't need to be long and complicated, okay? I probably spend, again, about 5 to 10 minutes stretching after my workout. So as a minimum, it's only 10 minutes extra added for mobility at the start and stretching at the end as well. This stretch right here, pigeon pose, oh my God, you're gonna love it, okay? The way this stretches out your glutes, I could literally sit in that pose forever and ever and ever. But don't sleep on your stretching. Like, honestly, it's just not even cool. Like, you can't be lifting all this weight and not be doing no stretching and mobility after, unless you want to be immobile at the age of 50. And if that's what you want, then that's cool. That's on you, each their own. But me, I'm trying to be up up walking and mobile at the age of 50 with my fat ass. And as I come to the end of my stretch, we come to the end of this video, and I just want to say thank you for sticking around and watching. Please do make sure you like if you enjoyed this video, share it to somebody that might need it, especially if you know that they want to start out in the gym but they actually have no idea where to start. I've been Coach Bells. This was your beginner's leg day exercise demo, and I'm going to be back next week with another video, so make sure that you're subscribed so you don't miss when I next post. As always, my lovely girls, happy gaining!